Seth Rollins got a new gang. This was what I predicted.
But the video is not gone out yet. So we needed a bit more context for it. You can't just brag about a video that's not gone out yet.
It was so bad because it's Christmas and we're recording so much stuff in advance. We either have dated opinions that are wrong or really good foreshadowing opinions that just feel like we're late to the party now.
Yeah, a little bit. I think by the time that video does go out, everyone's going to be like, yeah, we all sort of figured that was the direction we were going. But
I predicted this in November.
But I was there being like, what?
I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen DAT. Welcome to the...
Did any of that have audio?
It did. It's just your mic was off.
Okay. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast review of Monday Night Raw. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode, and send in your chat gables to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5. But the best way to support this episode is by getting your own Geology subscription.
Absolutely. Sign up for Geology today. Click the link in the video description down below to get 70% off your trial set. Click the link. All you got to do is take a little fun quiz, and then I'll find out exactly the skincare routine that you are after. We will talk more about that when we get into the after the new chats.
What move am I doing with the everyday face wash?
Let's have a look. That's a kick. As a stunner.
Yeah. Okay. And you too can, because it's not just face care. You can also act out wrestling moves on the bottles.
I think that's actually a really good way to encourage guys to get involved in their skincare routine. It's not just skincare. They're action figures. Yeah. If you use your imagination.
Right, this episode of Raw was, you know what? I actually thought it was a pretty rubbish first hour, but they had a corking second hour.
Yeah, I think this was a show of... I had a bit of a revelation today. I was listening to a podcast that was talking about wrestling, and this is a podcast that's very much on the train of... Wrestling is the least important thing about wrestling. It's actually the stories that are on screen. That's the most compelling thing. Wrestling is secondary. That is why AEW is currently struggling. And it kind of hit me today because it's not a philosophy that I buy into. I don't think that is the case. I actually think that there's a happy medium in there where you can have lots of really good wrestling and you can tell stories within those matches, and you can have stories in promo segments and things like that. There is a happy world between the two, and I don't think either have sort of found that happy medium yet. Like a pay-per-view length. No one's quite fine how the happy medium.
Well, they have. It's 5. It's 5 matches and we're out.
And then it sort of hit me and I was like, oh, no, it's not one or the other. It's stars. And so all of the segments involving the stars on this show were all of the really good segments. So when the stars came on screen, I was like, oh, amazing. So either those stars are in matches like Rhea Ripley in the main event, or stars are in a backstage chat segment with CM Punk, or stars are in the ring with Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn. It's something sort of hit me, and I was like, that's where AEW started. They don't have stars at the moment. They've got a bunch of really good wrestlers, but they don't have stars. So that is where I think it's less of a corky first hour or not. Anytime the stars were on screen, I really enjoyed this show.
Yeah, that's historically what has won Wrestling Wars. It's the promotion with the stars. So Vince McMahon's WWF in the 80s, getting all the Hulk Hogans and the...
Stealing from the AWA.
Yeah. It's Randy Savage, all of those people. Not the brilliance of the wrestling, because WWF at the time... was pretty poor in ring.
Watch the 89 Royal Rumble.
There were much better storylines elsewhere. So even if like TNA, I guess, is an example. But they don't have very good storylines. And in theory, they tried to get stars. Yeah. Didn't work for them. But they needed storylines.
Yeah, exactly. Because they got their stars and then made their stars not feel like stars.
I'm muddying the argument. Don't pay attention to the TNA stuff. But yeah, you're right. So what we're going to open with is the really nice interwoven soap opera of the... I mean, it feels like the main event scene because the World Heavyweight title is in a mid-card feud right now.
Yeah, I would say that the World Heavyweight Championship has felt like the mid-card title since Gunther won it.
Because you've got Seth Rollins. On one side of the axis, you've got Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. not saying they're affiliated. They're just on one side of a CM Punk-shaped divide. And on the other side, you've got arguably CM Punk, but definitely Sami Zayn and Jey Uso.
Correct. And also on this side, not saying they're affiliated either, is Kevin Owens, who himself is not a Punk guy. He's been very open in interviews and stuff. He is not a CM Punk fan, but also is very upset with Cody Rhodes for teaming with Roman Reigns.
Which means you can chuck Cody over on the other side.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be always going to judge you, isn't he?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
What you did last week, you should be ashamed of yourself.
So I think, so you had this thing, it's in 3CAN, it's in your 2025 WWE predictions video. My one for Seth was new group, like Seth's new faction. I was like, he's going to get a new group. But I thought more like Monday Night Messiah, like with AOP and Buddy Murphy, right?
And?
Did I have another person in there?
Brandon Vink.
Was he?
Yeah, for
was
like
he
2
in
weeks.
The group?
Yeah, for like 2 weeks.
Oh.
I swear. Can someone fact check that in the chat, please? Was Brandon Vink in the Monday Night Messiah?
Also, I think his name was Brendan Vink, not Brandon Vink.
Well, either of them. Check both Vinks.
But then you thought, oh, there's going to be like this anti-Punk alliance, which would be Drew and
The
Seth.
APA.
They're always pounding ass. And they will be like, it's Rollins, Drew, and Owens kind of forming this alliance together that are like almost the truth sayer, the truth tellers of WWE, the truthers, if you will.
And they're not saying lies.
No, they're not. Like they have their version of events. And what's kind of, brilliant about a lot of the stuff that's been, certainly from last week into this week, is that everyone does have a correct point on this. It just depends on which side of the argument you fall on.
Feels really fleshed out in that regard. You can really sink your teeth into it. And it means that this thing...
It was not Brendan Vink.
Must be a Mandela.
Do you want to have a guess who it was, though? Because a lot of the chat is telling you who it was. Because Brendan Vink was managed by MVP. I think that's what you're thinking of. He was with Shane Thorne.
Yeah, were they not in...
No, they were not. But there was another member. And
so there was Seth Rollins, there was Buddy Matthews, there was AOP.
Correct. And then apparently for a couple of weeks, there was one guy.
Was a liar part of it?
I think it was Elias for a second. Elias?
Oh. Can I have a clue?
He is still active in WWE. He is on the SmackDown roster.
Angel Garza?
No, but you're on the sort of the right lines in terms of tag teams.
Currently in a tag team. Were they main roster at the time?
Yes. But I think you could... yes, they were. Because... yes, I would say that they were.
I don't know.
Austin Theory.
What? How many times have WWE tried to make Austin Theory happen?
Well, Triple H isn't.
Yeah. But where were we there? Oh, yeah, that it feels really fleshed out. And it means that WWE, who have tried to make Shades of Grey happen forever and just didn't do it right, are actually in a place now where, because the stories are so compelling and fleshed out and the characters you can see either side, you don't actually have heels and faces in this mix right now.
Yeah.
You just have a bunch of guys who all have valid points and they disagree with each other, and they settle those because it's a wrestling promotion via wrestling. If it was a musical, they'd settle it via singing.
Yeah, or if it was an action film, they'd have a very big choreographed fight scene. But they tell their stories or complete their stories in the wrestling ring. And what I love about this idea, because Shades of Grey is a bit of a murky term, if you will, within sort of like wrestling discussion. But I don't know if this, you can say this isn't exactly Shades of Grey. These are just characters, and these characters are responding as those characters would to a situation. They are not, they're not babyface or heels, but they are babyface and heels. But more importantly, they are characters responding to a scenario.
So let's get this. This was all spread out throughout the show, as the New Day stuff was as well. I thought this was a really well. Even if I didn't enjoy the first hour, I thought the whole 2 hours were really well paced, for the night-long stories.
Yeah, they figured out these 2 hours just before they go back to 3 for Netflix.
I don't want it to happen, Luke. I am in my peak happy state right now. 2-hour Raws and SmackDowns, 5-match cards on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Mostly one-night PLEs.
Oh, that's coming to an end.
2 people on the commentary desk.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. So CM Punk's backstage. This is a pre-recorded interview with Jackie Redmond. And first off, she asks him, well, before I get into any of the Seth stuff, the thing everyone wants to know about, what's the favour with Paul Heyman?
Like he's going to tell you.
And Punk said, it's not the time for me to talk about that. And he moves on to talking about Seth Rollins. And I was like, you've got this great soap opera of characters in the Raw main event division. And you've got this other huge end of season thing. Yeah. Like, this is going to be the first couple of episodes of this 10-episode series, let's pretend, in the metaphor. But yeah, you've got the big Roman confrontation as, that's what we're building to for the end of series 28.
I really hope that WWE are going to pivot in their plans. So, like, going by reports there are at the moment and things that I've also heard, Rock is not going to be at Mania this year. Sean Rossap reports that they have got creative are putting together all of their pitches for WrestleMania, and those pitches do not include The Rock. The caveat to that is...
They didn't either. They didn't this year either.
That's exactly it. The caveat is, if The Rock just shows up on the first episode of Netflix Raw and says, oh, by the way, I am going to wrestle at WrestleMania, then they will have to factor him into those plans. But it is all dependent on The Rock telling them, yes, I am now going to be involved in WrestleMania. But my real hope is that they are going to pivot to doing Punk and Roman as the Mania match. Because I think that is, for me, and I was talking to Skillet from Gorilla Position about this this morning, I think that is the money match right now. I think that is a bigger money match than doing Rock and Roman. I think it is a bigger money match than doing Punk and Seth. I think it should be the WrestleMania main event.
So Jackie asked Punk about Seth, and Punk pretty much says what he said last week, just with a few more details.
Yes, nice.
And that is, I'm a bit confused about all this Seth hate. Like, Seth came to me and asked me to train him when he was 16. What's missed out in those stories is that he asked me to do it for free. He was already entitled back then. And then when he got to the WWE, Punk shielded him from being fired, which was a very good line. Seth did a good job filling in for me while I was gone, but now I'm back. The second string needs to sit back down.
Exactly. And I love that line because actually it is also very true because Punk goes in 2014, forces WWE to change all of their WrestleMania plans heading into WrestleMania 30. That's what pushes Danielson into the main event. The fans ordered that. But then Danielson gets injured and then they had to find a new top guy. And they just chose Seth. It was like, it's going to be Seth. Seth's going to be the guy we're going to go with because we need to use him to build Roman. So Punk's not wrong there at all. And now Punk is back. So he's like, well, I'm here. If I had not have walked out, I would have been in the position that you were in 2014. I'd have been the top guy. So, and you'd have just been a mid-card. So here I am. You can now go back to the mid-card. It's a very crass way to look at it. But it's not an entirely incorrect way to look at it either.
Seth Rollins comes out later on like a prick.
He does find new ways each week to purposely wind you up.
Well, no, it's the same way. He dresses like an idiot and he laughs like a douchebag. And then he conducts the audience in his asinine song.
Yeah, and then, once he gets in the ring and does his promo, drops all of that. So they're two different people.
Yeah. But he talks about Punk spinning the truth in that interview, and he says that, they used to be friends. Punk helped him get into WWE, but when Punk left, Seth reached out and sent him a text, and Punk ghosted him for, I guess, 10 years. And at that time, if you didn't quit your dream job for Team Punk, you were evil.
Well, because of Colt Cabana. Not for nothing, but that's why him and Colt aren't friends anymore. Because Colt went for pizza with Owens and Zayn.
And Pac.
And Pac, of course. Sorry. But yeah, can't forget Pac in all of this. He's just as guilty.
Yeah.
But, that is, allegedly what stopped them being friends. I thought for years it was because Colt went to that WWE show.
Well, then it came out last year that wasn't the case, and then the idea that the Shield guys didn't like Punk because in that 2014 Art of Wrestling podcast with Colt Cabana, that was when Punk told the story of got to make Roman look strong.
Yeah.
And people thought, and us included, we speculated because we couldn't quite figure out why the Shield didn't like Punk so much, seeing that Punk was the behind-the-scenes force and actually on-screen force that brought them into the main roster.
He got them called up effectively. You know, Triple H has rewritten history to say that it was all his idea, but that's because that was when Punk was anti-WWE. But the truth of the matter was it was Punk's idea to do it, and Triple H took credit for it.
Yeah. And even now, I don't think Triple H is going to correct that.
Oh, no.
Which is why it's not a part of this feud beyond the little Easter egg of shielded you on the main roster.
Much like how WWE still believe that Bret Hart would have shown up on Nitro with the WWF title the night after Survivor Series, they probably now just believe that it really was Triple H's idea to put the Shield on the main roster.
But yeah, I don't think it's ever been out and out said, because I do believe this is a work shoot. They have taken stuff that was real in their lives and turned it into this wrestling storyline, which is why it's so engaging to watch unfold. But yeah, the reason the Shield guys don't like Punk is because they feel like he abandoned them and he crapped on their company while they were becoming the top stars for 10 years.
He was so anti-WWE, as vocal as he possibly could be, you know, in some cases for very correct reasons. You know, they did treat him very, very poorly. They did fire him on his wedding day. They did medically mistreat him if Punk is
inhumane.
If Punk is to be believed in all of this. They did not really give him a push while he was a champion, even though he was a top merch seller. He was not going to replace John Cena because they were never going to let him replace John Cena. So he spoke very openly about that, and Seth Rollins is WWE through and through. He is a company guy. So he spent the last 10 years listening to Punk trash him as he's one of their top guys, and now it's just waltzed back in, pretending like none of it happened, but like, hey, but it's okay that I'm back now, right? Because I'm helping Trick Williams in NXT and I bought him pizza.
So Seth wraps this bit up by saying the only reason Punk is here is because he burned all his bridges and the money was right.
And he failed at everything else he tried to do, which is obviously, his comic books were all right.
Did you read them?
No, I just heard they were good. I don't read Thor comics.
I don't know if anyone said they... I think, Celebrity wrote.
Yeah. It's like Kevin Smith writing Daredevil.
But that was good.
Yeah, but is it as good as when Bendis then took over? Because
that's unfair.
Because then Bendis took over and made it really good. But Kevin Smith, if you then go back and read Guardian Devil, it's like, hey, this is all right.
It is good.
It is good. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, you're comparing him against one of the greatest. Well, actually, I don't love Bendis, but that run is very good.
Yeah, I like Bendis when he was Daredevil. I didn't like him on Avengers.
Paul Dano. He wrote a Riddler miniseries.
Oh, did he?
Excellent.
Oh, no way.
Excellent. Yeah, really good. And it's your favourite version of the Riddler as well.
No, actually, now that I've seen the film, I didn't like the trailers much, but now that I've seen the film, it's no Jim Carrey, obviously, but it's pretty good.
Seth also said everything Punk did, he's done and more, and he's main evented WrestleMania. They are making main eventing WrestleMania an integral part of this feud, which usually means...
That's what I said in last week's episode. I thought from last week, that's your WrestleMania main event for night one, is Punk versus Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship.
But I agree with you. I really hope that this is just the next couple of months on the road to the Roman fight. And we don't, because if this is our Mania match, that's 5 months away. Not every Punk feud has to be half a year long.
Yeah, but every WWE feud currently has to be half a year long. Knock, knock. Hello, it's Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Knock, knock. It's Damian Priest versus Finn Balor.
Yeah.
It's A Town Down Under splitting up.
That's longer than 6 months. So Sami Zayn then interrupts him because they had the little disagreement last week, which led to their main event, and Drew McIntyre appeared. And Sami apologizes for assuming that Seth beat up Jay backstage. Like that's right where his mind went to. The reason being is because Seth just reminded him of Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, he said the line was, "You don't sound like you sound like Drew McIntyre," and that's what made me think of your 3-count prediction of them working together. And then, as I said, I was listening to a podcast, it was Gorilla Position, as I was coming way in, and they also were talking about this idea of this sort of anti-Punk, anti-Roma alliance. It made me think of you again. I was like, maybe there is something to this. Maybe you are on the money. And I'm seeing a few other people being like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if, like Seth said, hey, I didn't attack Jay, and he is correct on that, but him and Drew are working together on a lot of this, and with Owens as well, and they will be revealed as a power unit heading in towards the WrestleMania season.
As justified, really pissed off heels.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I think I called them the Sword and Seth, or Seth and Sword.
You called them Sword.
Why didn't I call them Sword and Shield?
Because you said that like that would be the next evolution of Shield. You actually called it by accident Sword. And then I said, oh, because it's like Shield. And you went, yes, that's exactly why I did that. I also think that's in the 3-count episode, not in last week's episode.
I cannot remember. We've recorded so many things to go out in different weeks. Yeah, it's all over the place. But yeah, like this idea that Seth is potentially already heel. He's on that path towards the... Like, if you've got a graph or like a timeline, I think Drew McIntyre is your final form. He has just lost it. He hates anyone who even associates with CM Punk now. Then you've got Kevin Owens a little bit further back. He's like, no, my problem is just with Cody Rhodes right now. But you know he's going to come after Sami Zayn.
Well, he said that on SmackDown. He was like, oh, we'll get to that. I'm not ready to have that conversation yet, but that is a conversation we're going to have.
And then right at the start of this journey is a Seth Rollins.
Yeah, and like Drew's video promo on here, he had this great line where he talked about why he targeted Sami Zayn and Jey Uso when he attacked him backstage. It's because, like, well, I understand why Punk did it. He's a hired mercenary. He got a favor out of it. I don't understand why you went running back to Roman's side, though. Like, you'd just loyal lapdogs to him.
It's really, really great character-led stuff.
Yeah, I love it.
So happy with it.
I love it.
And then, yeah, Drew McIntyre got that bit earlier, confirming he did attack Jay. I never thought that was up for debate.
No, I said
some people did think it was still a mystery.
I said last week it'd be really interesting if it was Punk, but it made way more sense that it was Drew. If it was Owens, it would have been like also like super duper interesting.
Oh yeah, that would have been cool.
But Drew makes the most sense. Just sometimes go with the safest option, Bianca Belair.
But hey, maybe Drew is in cahoots with Seth and Owens.
That's what I'm talking about, mate. Like, there could be. I mean, I'd love it if there was, but if there wasn't, it doesn't. It's not like we're like, well, the storyline sucks now. It's just what an interesting idea it would be.
Seth and Sami agreed that, oh yeah, well, let's put this behind us. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. Seth leaves. And when Sami leaves, after announcing it's going to be him versus Drew at this Saturday's Saturday night main event, I like saying that.
I struggle to get Saturday night's main events out of my mouth.
You've got to say this Saturday's Saturday night's main event.
I was just doing a video in front of the green screen earlier, and I kept having to say, at Saturday night's main event. I feel just like, I don't know, my tongue just doesn't work that way. Tell you a sec.
And Drew attacked Sami on the entrance. Yeah. Looking awesome.
Yeah, he looks so great. Awesome to have him back.
Really good stuff. Let's see what you all think in the chat gables.
Interestingly, nothing on the Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and like CM Punk stuff.
I imagine most people want to talk about the New Day, do they?
It is, by the looks of things, there's just general chats about Raw, by the looks of things. Yes, just general chats about Raw.
Well, we'll go through them. Space Viking says, the Judgment Day. Who puts T in the abbreviation? TJD?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah, because otherwise you're writing down JD
McDonough,
and then you confuse that with McDonough.
TJD are so turning on thin. It's for the best. I really wanted the crowd to do a yes chant to force WWE to have EO win, lol. Here's my Mania pitch. New Day bully Stu every week. New Day versus Big E and John Cena at WrestleMania. What?
Stu? As in Bennett?
That's what I got from that.
Yeah. If you write down Stu in an old chat, the first person I'm going to think of is Bennett.
Yeah. And he's not even going to be the Raw commentator come January.
He is not, no.
Cool. Well, Big E and John Cena at WrestleMania. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I think you said this last week, or you might have been you said that, the idea of doing a New Day triple threat. But I don't want to break up Woods and Kingston.
Kazoo says, at the beginning of this year, Dom had the most heat and now has been usurped by New Day of all people. That was some unreal heat. On another note, I did not know Cody and Xavier went to rival high schools and actually wrestled each other. Potential feud.
Yeah, Cody's talked about that openly in interviews and stuff. And we said last week, for me, the goal of this should be Xavier Woods challenging for the WWE Championship because he is the only one who's not won that belt. I think if he wins the world title, it is just not going to feel as important. He should win the WWE Championship.
I think you can build that match up with Cody now.
That's what I mean.
With Kofi at ringside, like I said, you can get some great near falls out of that. Some guy says Io and Rhea both reaching for the belt makes me think Io might beat Liv. Io versus Ripley at WrestleMania. Some guy. I've got exactly the same thing in me. Squash it. Squash it now. Extinguish that hope.
If I may pour some water on this exciting fire, just remember who pinned Morgan at Survivor Series and who pinned her second on this episode of Raw. Look, if it were me, if I were WWE, I would be pivoting to Rhea versus Io because I think that is a much better match than holding off and doing Ripley versus Morgan. I've come around to a new way of thinking though, which is that
God, you've had some epiphanies this week.
I really have. I'm full of them sometimes. Not really. I would do, if it were me, and if it was someone said like, what would you do? Now, here's my pitch: that Morgan does beat Sky at Saturday night's main event, but Ripley beats Morgan on the Netflix debut. Mm-hmm. And then you do Ripley and Io going into WrestleMania.
You're going to have so many title changes on your first episode.
Well, I'm moving off the Punk Gunther thing now.
Rafael Garcia says, it might just be me, but Raw felt like it dragged this week. I liked most of it, don't get me wrong, but I did end up falling asleep during the women's three-way. Might have just been this week. I hope the big four don't all become 2 nights. I don't know how I'd cope, Lund.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to, isn't it? Like, it is, like Thanos, inevitable that all the big four pay-per-views are going to become 2-night events because you get more money that way. You get more sponsorships that way.
It will be in this hot period, but I think then, yeah. I don't think it'll be a forever thing because WWE won't stay this hot.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Like right now,
yeah.
storylines, what everyone wants, me included. It's because we've been overexposed to great in-ring wrestling. Mm. There will be a point, maybe a couple of years down the line, where just great in-ring wrestling is what we're all going to want.
I mean,
it's a cyclical
thing, and we talked about fun enough, that 3-Count episode be coming out later on this month. The idea that every booker has 5 years in them before they start to run a little bit dry. You know, that's kind of the criticism against Tony Khan at the moment, is that he's had his 5 years. And actually, Triple H in NXT had his 5 years and then sort of ran out of steam. And then, like, the last few years he was in charge of that place, it kind of was not all that great. Then Vince took over, made it worse. And now Shawn Michaels is in his 5-year period where it's doing like he's off to his hot start.
Well, the genius Triple H has got is elongating everything out. So it should be 15 years. Uh-huh. He's just got 5 years worth of ideas. And finally, for now, Homer Star says, the problem with your Punk Roman argument is it doesn't matter what the company or the fans want. All that matters is what The Rock wants. And if The Rock wants Roman, he's going to get Roman.
Well, and from what I have heard, Roman wants it to be the Rock match. Like the two things he wants to do. And this is just what I've heard from one person, and I've sort of confirmed slightly with another, is that Rock wants the Roman match, and if he can't have the Roman match, he wants to do Jacob Fatu. But Punk wants to do the Roman match.
Just on your point, Homer Star, Rock wanted Roman this year and actually didn't get it because of the Cody stuff. That was more of a unique situation.
Yeah.
We've had a note from the chat from Mod Mother. Stu isn't Stu Bennett. It's Stu the cameraman that Cena shouts out on his entrance. That's how you build a Cena. That's what you want from this really emotional, insular New Day story, isn't it? A feud based on a cameraman affiliated to a guy not in the group.
I didn't even know that Cena shouted at a cameraman in his entrance.
That's what he's. That's what. If you slow that down, he says, "Cheers, Stu.
You've always been my guy, Stu."
Please tell me about geology and how it can save my face.
So, I am a guy, as you can clearly see, and as a guy, a bald man no less, my skincare routine was never all that great. I've never been really good at looking after how I look, which is really stupid of me because I'm an on-camera personality and I should look as good as I possibly can do. That's why it took me so long to shave my head. But then Geology came on as a sponsor, and it genuinely was like a sort of a penny drop moment where I got a set and I was like, oh, I can understand this. I can visualize how this works as a skincare routine. Because that was always my problem. Is that I just sort of didn't know. I would buy like a bottle of moisturizer from my local supermarket and be like, I'm sure that'll do. And it doesn't, because what you need is actual people who know what they're doing to tell you how to do that. And that's what Geology do.
Yeah, because you do a little quiz online and they sort you out a custom regime. So each one has a different number on, you can probably see, and that tells you when you should put them on, how much you should do. It's a twice nightly thing, in what order. Yeah, this is stuff I didn't know, and my lady partner definitely told me what to do. But sometimes it doesn't go in when she talks to me, and I need to hear it from someone else.
I should say, you said twice nightly, so it's a twice daily.
Oh, yeah,
thing.
sorry, twice
yeah,
nightly.
You're not waking up in the middle of the night to apply this stuff.
Do that, eat my steak. It's what wrestlers used to do to
it's
put on mass.
Not like the baddies in Catwoman, who have got rock hard solid skin because of all the moisturizer they put on. No, this stuff is really, really great. So you take a quiz and they will formulate a little pack for you, and you can take that quiz, click the link in the video description down below, use the promo code WRESTLE70 and you can get 70% off your trial set. It's not just us, this is a multi-award winning. They've just won a brand new award as well. Thousands upon thousands of 5-star reviews. Go check them out, click the link, take the quiz, and sign up for Geology today. There's also a little QR code on the screen that you can scan.
There. This episode of Raw, I didn't actually write it. Was it Wichita, Canada?
It's all the same place, isn't it?
New Day are shown arriving backstage in that way that they do in the intros. And the production guys walk away from them. And then they walk past Alpha Academy, and Alpha Academy won't shake their hands.
And Natalya.
Was she there?
Natalya was standing next to them.
Wasn't that Maxine Dupree?
No, I thought it was two of them, and I thought the other one was Natalya.
Oh my god, I just assumed both of those blonde people were the same.
Am I wrong? Because I've written Natalya was there. And I could have sworn I did see Natalya there. But maybe I didn't.
But that was
She's
good.
My mirage.
That was really good of setting that up at the start of the show. We go into a Gunther promo. He's down in the ring, and he's just about to talk about Finn Balor. He's fighting him this weekend for the World Heavyweight title. And Finn Balor and the Little Rascals, they come out, and they say, Balor's going to be the champion. And Gunther said, I used to look up to you when you won the Universal title 8 years ago. You were the best in the world for that one night, but now I'm the best in the world all the time.
Not vibing with this babyface Gunther.
No.
He also got watted by this crowd, so I don't think the crowd are vibing with it either. Going by what happened last week in the Dominic Mysterio match and the reaction he got this week, I think this crowd are ready for if you did this on my GM mode, you would have had a note in the social media that said, not sure if I'm ready to cheer Gunther yet.
Yeah. And then it's also, he's playing second fiddle to this Finn Damien psychodrama.
Yes.
So again, Gunther is not the main focus of the World Heavyweight title picture.
Yeah, this has been, I would say, getting to the point now of very, very bad as a world title run, because he has never felt like the main focus of Raw, and which is baffling because they had a really good template of how to make a Gunther title run really, really awesome, and it was the last title run he had with the other belts.
Yeah, what this guy now needs is doubt and a baby face turn. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, it's because you get a build up to that Gunther Kaiser match at WrestleMania, which I did predict ages ago.
Judgment Day then go to beat up Gunther, but Damian Priest makes the save. I thought Judgment Day looks so lame here.
Well, they always do, yeah. That's their gimmick, is they suck.
And then they get in, and Gunther lays out Balor, and then he lays out Priest as well.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's a bit lame too. Judgment Day's numbers win out, and Finn hits 3 coups de grace on Priest, and then posed with both the World and Tag Team titles. And then I wrote, it should be a 3-way at main event. And then the very next segment, They're backstage celebrating. Ha ha ha! Yeah, ooh, Judgment Day. And Adam Pearce comes in and says, Saturday's Saturday night main event match will now be a triple threat, with Priest added, of course.
Which is good because it means that we don't have to just sit there and wait for the Damian Priest interference. It also, for me, suggests Kevin Owens is not winning the WWE Championship like a lot of people hope in the Cody Rhodes match, because we can't have any interference now in this world title match, but there's a Randy Orton that could interfere in the Cody Owens match.
You think Triple H needs rules about interference?
I just think you want to overload interference. I think he's starting to learn that lesson.
Yeah.
He says optimistically.
He says, on a show that has 4 matches and 1, 2, 3, 75% of the matches on this show have interference finishes.
So the video I was recording earlier is WWE 2024 recap. I kind of go through sort of like I catalog every like main character and I take them through their 2024 and kind of like, here's the big story. So if you are coming brand new to the Netflix era, you can watch this and it's a nice little like recap package of everything you need to know. The amount of times I had to say and lost because of interference, I started to trip over the words. It's probably the most used word in the entire script that features WWE in it.
We'll do a word cloud of your script.
Interference is the biggest one.
Pierce also said that Finn and JD will defend their tag titles against the War Raiders next Monday with Judgment Day banned from ringside. I don't care.
Well, and then Liv Morgan said, hey, do you have any advice for our matches later on? And Finn said, I'll have to think about it.
Well, the Pro Bull Rider guy's in the front row.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah. From TKO affiliate business, Pro Bull Riding.
I'll be honest, this guy stood up and I just went, do, 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 and I was like, I'm not listening to anything that you're saying now.
Then we got the Wyatt 6 versus Final Testament. I feel like if you're going to present the Wyatt 6 as this once every couple of months, really big attraction, you can't then do this kind of match.
Well, this is, wrestling is not even secondary, I think thirdary on Triple H era WWE TV, where like this match like immediately just went to ad break, came back, the heels are working over one of them, you do the hot tag, go straight to the finish. And it's just there for the sake of it being there, and that does not do much wonders for the Wyatt 6 as a special presentation.
Yeah, there was, wrestling for a couple of minutes there, but then Scarlett Bordeaux
very generous.
Trips Uncle Howdy when he's running the ropes. Nikki Cross appears behind her. Oh, that's creepy. She runs away from her. And then the Miz trips Uncle Howdy. Howdy goes for him outside, but Paul Ellering, someone we thought left the company, appears and chucks loads of powder at Howdy's face.
Yeah, him and James Mitchell have got some connections.
And then Karrion Kross hit his finisher, can't remember what the name is, to win.
That's probably the first time he's hit it this year for a win. It's not true. He has won another match on Raw, I think. It was what it was. Glad to see the Final Testament get a win, because I'm really into them as an act at the moment.
I know what you mean. And I don't mind Wyatt 6 getting beaten here. I just feel like it needs to be a bigger deal, the match.
Yeah. And Wyatt's losing their first match should have felt like a bigger deal. It felt like they probably lost a bunch of matches up until this point.
This just felt like, Wyatt 6, that really cool act that murdered people on Raw, that had the really good Alpha Academy feud. And I enjoyed that match as well. That was like one of the first Raw reviews I came back to do. And here's this match, and it's like every other wrestling story now. Yeah. The heels won via interference. There'll be another match.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a disappointment. Well, a lot of a disappointment for me. Then we got the CM Punk interview, which we've already covered. Dakota Kai took on Liv Morgan. I thought this was a semi-final for a second. I was like, is Liv in the Intercontinental title thing?
Yeah, it's kind of a poor old Dakota Kai here, because she won her qualifying match for the IC belt and then was the sacrificial lamb to give Liv Morgan some momentum.
Why not Kairi Sane?
Well, actually, I mean, it would have made more sense for it to be Kairi Sane. Yeah, I was about to say, because you need to do the Pure Vision Collective stuff afterwards and then have Kairi Sane run. Have Io Sky run down. So yeah, maybe it should have been Sane. I mean, shout out to Raw this week. Had 3 women's matches on the show. I mean, arguably only one of them actually meant a damn, but that is because you've done nothing with the women's division all year. Mm-hmm. So at least you are doing the building blocks to try and make them feel like. Because Joe Tessitore later on was like, the Raw women's roster is so deep. And I'm like, no, there's a lot of people on it. It is not deep.
Are you looking at this bracket for the Intercontinental title? Lyra Valkyria's the favourite. That's not a deep roster.
Yeah, well, it's a nice little bit of doublespeak. There was she's been on such momentum this year. And you can say that because she did at one point early this year have momentum. She just then didn't do anything for 8 months. And now she's won 2 matches.
So this match, Liv Morgan, the women's champion, was booked. She was really struggling against Dakota Kai.
Yeah, it's because she sucks. That's the Judgment Day gimmick, is they suck. And Liv Morgan in particular, her gimmick is she sucks.
Pure Fusion Collective are outside, and I thought, this is the only thing that's worse than the Judgment Day being at ringside. Sonya got in the apron. That slight distraction meant that Liv could hit the Oblivion and get a lucky win against Dakota Kai. Perfect Fried Chicken beat up Kai afterwards. Io and Kairi run down. Io's amazing.
So great.
That missile drop kick and the sort of tumbling that she does afterwards.
So good.
It just fires everyone up. But Liv attacked her from behind. She stood tall in this segment. Then we got the Drew McIntyre promo we've already spoke about. A recap of last week's New Day segment, which was fun to rewatch. And then Cody Rhodes exits Adam Pearce's office.
Yeah, because this is coming off the back of what happened on SmackDown, which is there's going to be a transfer window, essentially, where we're going to have new rosters heading into the Raw on Netflix era.
So you think, this is a tease that Cody's going to Raw?
This is what I said in that draft video that we put up on WrestleTalk, is I think if that's going to be your A show, you should have the WWE champion on your A show.
A lot of people said, hey, you've massively overloaded SmackDown there with CM Punk and all the bloodline on. And I wanted to say, well, but we've got Cody Rhodes on Raw, The Rock and John Cena.
But they're not there all the time, I guess, would be the argument.
Cena
for that.
was.
But, I don't think... Netflix may want Roman, but if Cody and Roman are both on Raw, which isn't out of the realms of possibility, man, SmackDown is going to have, kind of no one there. Because if, Punk and Seth then stay on Raw as well, it's well, who's the main guy on SmackDown? Is it Austin Theory?
That will take me back to those 2009, 2010 SmackDowns.
Yeah. SmackDown basically becomes Rampage.
Whoa. Collision. But Cody Rhodes bumps into the New Day, who are walking backstage after that, and Cody says, "You should be ashamed of yourselves."
Yeah, so
I like that.
That's so
really good. Then we got the Seth Rollins promo, which we've covered. Zelina Vega, Ivy Nile didn't get entrances really. Lyra Valkyria did get an entrance. Surprise, surprise. She won the Intercontinental title tournament match.
Yeah, not a lot of heat, but that is to be expected when you don't build any of these people up to feel like stars. And then put them in a tournament where you then have to act like they've been doing a lot of stuff throughout the year.
This felt like a very choreographed match to me in a bad way.
Yeah.
And they just went near falls. You do have to earn them. You can't just keep doing near falls until people cheer.
I remember when I first started doing this job, and I used to write down my notes on things, and I used to just write down sort of for a near fall, and then I'd be like, cross that out, 2 count.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually a near fall, it's just a 2 count.
Lyra hit the Nightwing. I wrote the name of that one down. What do you think Karrion Kross's finisher is called?
It's like the Final Heart or something. Or I'm pretty sure it's got heart in the name.
Cross Heart?
I'm sure if I scroll up, someone has put it.
Karrion's Curse.
Final Prayer. Great, and look, it was Final Prayer is Karrion Kross's finisher, Luke. It wasn't just me that got it that didn't know.
There's this wonderful thing on this channel where my mistakes get deflected at you. I think it's because people expect you to know everything, and they get more annoyed with you. Luke, you meant to know everything.
You should know these things.
You know Ollie doesn't know a thing. Yeah, so this is when Joe Tessitore told me how deep the talent is. Like, dude, one of these people didn't get an entrance.
One of them, it's Ivy Nile.
And yeah, so Lyra hit Nightwing to advance. She's in the semis.
Great.
Damian wished Rhea Ripley well for her Anything Goes match backstage. Then the New Day are backstage. Kathy Kelly is going to interview them, and she is doing a terrible job at being objective.
Dreadful job.
Yeah.
Awful.
Why did you nasty boys turn on the lovely Big E? Was effectively what she asked.
Yeah.
And Woods said, look, we're not going to do this here. He takes a camera.
Probably from Stu.
And walks along. I thought this was really well filmed, and I kind of want them to take it into the ring with them. Make it like, just put it down in the corner as, we're telling our side. Yeah. We're even in control of the viewpoint. But he just put it down on the steel steps. And then they have this extraordinary segment where they cannot even talk. And this is, I'm so happy this worked for them, because this is a segment that was scripted to rely on the audience hating them. Mm-hmm. And, they could have gone out there and the crowd could have cheered ironically. They could have not been a hot crowd, but WWE are getting great crowd reactions at the moment. This was one of the hottest segments of the year last week.
So great.
And when they came down, the crowd just wanted to hate them in a genuine way.
Genuine.
Not in a Dom way, in a Don Callis, Carl Fletcher kind of way.
That's it, yeah. Because Dom was going to be the person I was going to compare this to. It is fun to boo Dom. So he can get out of the... And then you sort of boo it. That was my only critique I would have of this, is that if you are going to do I'm going to start speaking, then stop because you're booing me too loudly. Finish up at least your sentence that you're trying to say, and then sort of halfway through, as opposed to going and then waiting for the crowd to boo do the boo interruption, the boo-terruption. That's my only nitpick for this. But this is not the crowd booing them because it's fun and we're all having fun booing Dominic Mysterio. This is, no, I do not like you. You have ruined a really nice thing that we had, and you've taken that away from me. I want to see Big E beat you both up. This was fabulous. This is such a great payoff for the hard work that they have done throughout the year and the incredible segment they did last week.
What I really like is a couple of the lines they did manage to get out. They said, we gave you 10 years of positivity and you're upset about us, upset with us for that one day. New day, one day. That feels poetic. Yeah. But then also they're like, we didn't beat Big E up. We didn't break his neck again with a chair.
No.
We actually handled that really well.
Yeah. We were really mature about it, actually.
And you get, we want Big E, New Day sucks chance. And yeah, it's weird. Xavier Woods has been doing this all year, really. Kofi Kingston as a heel, as a proper heel who's over, he looks mean.
Yeah, this was so great, man.
It's not really gear I've thought he had before.
No, I have we actually seen him, aside from when they were heels initially, which was kind of, so if anyone has forgotten, New Day was supposed to be baby faces, but WWE made them so lame that the crowd booed them, so they just turned them heel. And then they were so good at being heels, we started to cheer them. And then they were baby faces after that. But I think that would have been the last time we saw Kofi as a heel.
But it's a different kind of heel.
It's kind of a goofy heel. That's old day stuff. This is rad, awesome, great character work. This was so good. And they didn't really do a lot in the segment, apart from go, they were just so effective at just being there. The crowd reactions are well earned, given the work they've done to get to this point. So great.
And the main event was Rhea Ripley taking on Raquel Rodriguez, a match we were supposed to have back at Crown Jewel. And it was an anything goes match, which meant loads of smoke and mirrors, brawling through the crowd. There were chairs, there were kendo sticks. There was Liv Morgan. But only 7 minutes in.
Well, yeah.
Not right from the start.
Well, it's not
even though it was allowed.
It's not an interference spot if you come out right at the start.
The match had loads of heat. I think partly because of the New Day segment before it, but also because Rhea's one of the biggest stars in the company.
I see. It's a star thing. Is that she is one of the company's top stars. If you look at YouTube's metrics and stuff on WWE's channel, her videos are usually the most watched videos of any week. She is one of, if not the top star of WWE's Raw's division. Like the reactions that she gets, that's why the Terror Twins were so over. Like she kind of rubbed off on Damian Priest, and then Damian Priest is kind of like has carried on with that. But yeah, this was like, it's so awesome. And like it's proper like Attitude Era kind of main event of Raw, because it is plunder, but it's star-filled. It's got lots of run-ins and you know, and like the stars coming out and doing their big moves and stuff. It's just that it's women doing it.
Attitude Era is the perfect way to describe this. It feels like any random ending of Raw where Stone Cold runs in and Triple H runs in and they're all fighting.
And every new person that comes in gets another bigger reaction than the last one did.
I thought those days were gone. You know, like where people reacted so largely to anyone coming out. So it's nice to see it.
Meltzer had this point recently, which I thought was very interesting, which is that he said that like wrestling actually as a whole is quite cold. It's just WWE that are hot. Yeah. But even within that, NXT is not. Because NXT's got an 8,000 seat building booked and have only shifted like 1,000 tickets of it. AEW are having to like downsize all of their stuff because they've struggled for ticket sales throughout the year. Like everyone is struggling to sell tickets apart from WWE, who can do no wrong at the moment. And like and that's why you end up with, and it's stars. They have got all of the stars. And it's so awesome to see. And it's then so much fun to watch. When you're watching that McMahon doc on Netflix, the stuff that was like the most was when they were showing all the Attitude Era stuff, and you were just seeing those crowds. Like, I think the genius thing they've done recently is the sign camera is showing people on camera, hey, if you bring a sign, you might end up on the TV show, because it encourages people to bring signs. And now you see the shows, signs are everywhere, and it does feel like the Attitude Era. It's so great.
Rhea Ripley hit a riptide through a table to win. Good chaotic stuff. Io ran down in this to take out Liv, who was interfering. And at the end, the closing shot was Io and Rhea Ripley both grabbing Liv Morgan's women's title. And then we won off air. Which means Io is beating Liv at Saturday's Saturday night main event.
If she does, I will be so thrilled.
Yeah.
I'm so beyond done with this Liv Morgan world title run. But I just think the ending of the Women's War Games match at Survivor Series was Ripley pinning Morgan. We have not tied up that story yet of Ripley winning back her Women's World title.
We don't need to.
And I hope that it's on the Netflix debut so we can do it as quickly as possible and then go to Rhea versus Io, because I think that's a much better program to do, personally.
Well, before we get into our remaining chat gables, last call for those, WrestleTalk.com/support, let's say a big thank you to our wonderful Pledgehammers on Patreon, the Blade Bearer, Christopher Sordillo.
Hey now, you're an all-star, Chuck Turner.
The Razor's Edge, CJ Shunk.
Seems M. Punk, Cormac Maloney.
On Top of the World and the Top Rope, David Sansone.
Going, David Vaughn.
A tall, handsome guy who has goals in life, Delonta Blade.
Dr. Hook, Nolan Evans.
Always shining, Garrett Albright.
Hannah A, Baby.
Geordie Bus Driver, Harry.
And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class, on Tuesday, the 10th of December, 2024, Murderous James Murtagh.
Thank you very much. If you go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk and become a Pledgehammer right now, from $6.50 a month, you can watch Mustache Night War.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It is me versus Ollie playing my GM mode on WWE 2K24. The first 2 weeks are now available to watch over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Also up there is an entire series of me versus Pete for the very last time, the Monday Night War Last Chance series. All 12 episodes of that are currently available to watch over at Patreon if you sign up now. And this series, it's already off to a very good start. The reaction we've had to it so far, people are really enjoying this, and I'm so excited to see where it goes. And early doors, there is a favorite to win. And it's this guy right here.
Oh, really? Is that what people are saying?
People are very much on the train that you're like, I have a history. Yeah. I have a track record on this game.
Fumbles.
Of biffing it.
And the first thing you do is biff it.
In the draft thing, I did, because I forgot about Snake Order. And I didn't even want Ricochet. I only did it for the bit. I ended up giving you Ricochet.
Your second pick.
was your second pick.
But yeah, go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk and start watching that. It'll be going up weekly for the next 3 months. Right, last call for the chat, Gables. Get mooned, says cameraman Stu, lol. He was the one they took the camera from. A returning Big E put him in a tag match to protect him with Cena. WWE would totally do that, and you would totally love it. You know it, lol.
Maybe it's just something that I've never picked up on, but it is a real big... Maybe it's a... Like
It is a thing, yeah.
What, Stu the cameraman?
Yeah.
You didn't know who he was earlier?
Well, but I don't know, because I don't think just Stu the cameraman. I think Stu Bennett.
Yeah. But this is like a genuine thing that people are into. Of like
it's a thing people know about.
There is Stu lore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Connell EKM says, I think Punk's favour from Heyman will be to help him win the Rumble. Punk turns heel, so we get Punk versus Cody at Mania. Breaker wins the Chamber to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, and, assuming The Rock returns, The Rock faces Roman.
Punk did say in his promo on last week's show that he doesn't need to do the Royal Rumble now. Mm-hmm. He said, I don't need to do the Rumble, I don't need to do the Chamber because I have a favour from Paul Heyman, which says to me that Punk's not going to be in the Rumble, which, you know, given what happened to him in this year's Rumble, it's probably for the best.
Let's not let Punk... I just made him do a Hell in a Cell and a War Games match. Has he just done massive gimmick matches this year?
Yeah,
he has had a Rumble match.
Yeah.
He has had...
Special guest referee,
the game show match, Hell in a Cell and War Games. They're trying to kill him. They don't want Punk around. El Tremez says, Karrion Kross, smiley face emoticon. Some saying boring. I don't think that.
We've come round.
But in the ring, you know, it doesn't always come.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
The Black Prince says, I know you guys don't review NXT, but Obafemi is my new favourite wrestler right now. As much as I love Punk and Drew, and I'm pumped AF for Braun, nobody gets me out of a seat faster than Darula. Him versus Reed would be delicious. Love you guys. And Sully. Heart emoji.
We've been saying, I've been saying on multiple shows now on WrestleTalk that I would bring him up to the main roster and immediately make him the WWE champion. I would give him the biggest push possible. I think he's probably going to be like, you know, he's going to stay down in NXT for a little bit, but this is why I'm not in charge of things.
Sadly, Bronson Reed has got a broken foot and he'll probably be out until after WrestleMania.
Sucks.
Kevin, I'm home resting after injuring my back this weekend. The draft episode must have been the most painful video I've watched because laughing hurts so much. The Ricochet selection and Ollie's I keep the women for expletive smooches were the best ones. I don't remember. What did I say?
It's because ECW doesn't have a women's champion on there. So you just like, I'm drafting women. Well, the men have got to fight over something.
Yeah.
And at one point, like, they need I think I said they need valets, but I think you must have said, I keep the women for effing smooches.
I don't remember saying that. It's behind a paywall.
But that's in the draft day episode.
Oh, dear. I don't know if you can... In the first 4 episodes... I'm actually really nervous because it's like Luke and Pete's show, and I practiced so much. I got so much in my own head, and I was like, I just need to not let Luke beat me in the first few weeks, otherwise the whole thing will be a write-off.
Someone did leave a comment saying, like, I feel like Luke should have some form of handicap match, like a handicap going into this, because he's had like 3 years practice of this game, whereas Ollie hasn't had any. I was like, my handicap is I haven't played this. The only time I ever play this game is when I'm playing it on Monday Night War. Yeah. I don't get any, like, but you had like an insane amount of practice leading into it.
Well, I think we've played the same amount of series.
Yeah.
I've just done it with the AI in the course of 6 weeks.
You mainlined it.
Real Double J says, Conclave, I want to watch it so bad. That is my genre of movie. A load of dudes in a room talking about stuff. I want to see it so much. I almost did. I'd stay home for something.
That's why you were doing ECW.
Yeah,
Just what a bunch of dudes.
Just a bunch of dudes debating stuff. Saw Conclave this weekend. I was so moved at one point, I stood up and announced... Forgot this was a thing.
Yeah.
I stood up and announced, "This is pure wrestling." As the ushers dragged me out, trying to explain the parallels between the papal seat and the Ula Fala, I wondered if Ollie and Luke had seen others copy WWE.
That is tremendous.
Yeah, like if you watch a lot of Coppola's early movies,
You're like,
yeah,
this is like the mega powers explode.
yeah. You're like, oh yeah, the way they interconnect a lot of the stories in the racing film. That's it's kind of like what Raw does.
It's just like Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins have got similar issues with Sami Zayn.
Pure wrestling. Take It Easy says, hey lads, starting my wrestling journey soon at my local indie. Sadly, Russo is the booker.
What?
So can the notoriously bad booker produce quality content on a smaller scale? Also, New Day should have helped Ridge win the NXT title for Uber Heat. That's a great idea.
That is a fun idea.
Yeah. Of course, Ridge injured Biggie's.
Yeah. Russo is booking wrestling.
I don't think to a high level, local indie.
But even so, like surely he's, grifting enough on his podcast that can sort of get him by and pay the mortgage.
Robo Knight. Good luck in the training.
Support your local indie.
Robo Knight says, hey guys, last week I asked you guys a very important message about Jarl's favourite Paw Patrol episode. Luke gave a beautiful answer, but I noticed Ollie forgot to say his favourite. So I thought he could use this time to share his favourite Paw Patrol episode. My favourite Paw Patrol episode.
Firstly, who's your favourite Paw Patrol?
Oh, Bluey. He's a dog, right?
She is a dog, yes.
Is it a girl?
Bluey's a girl.
Bluey's a girl. Hot damn. And the Paw Patrol. Are there any cats in Paw Patrol?
Well, the mayor of the other one, Mayor Humdinger, he lives in Foggy Bottom. He has cats that are all dressed up like the Paw Patrol because cats suck. But there is there's sort of there are like cat versions of them that are good guys as well. Mm-hmm. But they kind of like have a little cameo. I think they do have their own little mini movie.
Wait, so they're in Paw Patrol?
There is a good cat squad as well, but I can't remember what they're called. But there's also a cat squad that feature in Bluey. Like that's the TV show that they watch in Bluey. It's called Cat Squad.
As like a riff on Paw Patrol.
It was, just a riff on like a lot of. I mean, there is actually a show on Disney Junior called Super Kitties, which is basically like they're normal kittens, but they're also superheroes behind closed doors, and they're Super Kitties. My kid likes it. Mm-hmm. I think it's broadly fine. It's no Bluey.
My favorite Paw Patrol character is Ian, and my favorite episode is the one where they learn something. Does that fit?
Yeah, apart from the Ian thing, yeah. I mean, if you said Alex, that is a character in the show, although that kid sucks.
And finally, Demand Gamer is a 7-month member. Thank you very much. Hey guys, what do you guys want the New Day's first feud to be, where they use the power of negativity?
Against the War Raiders. War Raiders beat Judgment Day next week, and you do New Day versus the War Raiders for the tag titles.
Yeah, actually, now you've said that tag title match next week is likely a way to put the belts on a babyface team. And the New Day, to get the belts on the New Day.
That's not Judgment Day doing anything with it.
Let's see the poll results.
Absolutely. Oh, Oliver Davis. Oh, it's just changed. But it's 26% thumbs in the middle, thumbs up, 69 nice %, but it was 70 until I clicked end poll, which was exactly what you scored it.
I prefer 69.
Yeah. It's funnier, isn't it?
But thank you very much for joining us here today. Please go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to start watching The Mustache Night War right now. And also go over to Geology. There's a QR code right there. There's a link in the video description below to start your personal face moisturizing routine. For now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.